let's discuss the functions of entrepreneurs. The functions of entrepreneurs are categorized into four broad categories. Number 1, entrepreneurial functions. Number 2, promotional functions. Number 3, managerial functions. And number 4, commercial functions. Entrepreneurial functions. Under this, the first function is innovation. As an innovator, an entrepreneur has to discover new opportunities, new methods of production, a new use for a product, or a new way of integrating several uses in one product for optimum utilization of resources. For example, smartphones. So we know that one of the function of entrepreneur, or one of the characteristics of entrepreneur, is that they are innovator. That means they always try to innovate something new, or they always try to find a new way of integrating several uses in one product. For example, smartphones. We all know one smartphone can serve the purpose of video recording, camera, photography, voice call, video call, text messaging. So this is the result of entrepreneurial innovation. The next function is risk taking. Risk refers to the chance of loss due to unforeseen future events. Entrepreneurs are highly optimistic, willing to assume the risks. An entrepreneur needs to take calculated risk, and he tries to minimize the risk by his initiative, skills, and good judgment. In the previous slide, in one of the slides, I told you that we cannot avoid the risk, but we can minimize the risk. We cannot avoid because we cannot completely or perfectly forecast the future events. But with the help of our using our skills and good judgment, we can estimate, or we can calculate the risk, and we can prepare ourselves. And accordingly, we can minimize the risk to a certain extent, but we cannot eliminate the risk. So this is one of the function of entrepreneur. The next function is organization building. Under this function, the entrepreneur brings together various factors of production in such a way that there is minimum chances of loss and cost of production is reduced. An entrepreneur is the final judgment in the conduct of his or her business. This means, we already discussed that to start or establish an enterprise, we need various resources: manpower, capital, materials, machineries. The entrepreneur brings together all the resources in such a way, and he strikes the balance in such a way that it minimizes the chances of loss and reduces the cost of production. And all these decisions are to be taken by the entrepreneur only, and therefore an entrepreneur is the final judge in the conduct of his or her business. Now, the promotional functions. Under this, the first function is discovery of an idea. The entrepreneur visualizes ideas and convert it into opportunities. He or she develops the idea with the help of experts in different fields. So, we know that entrepreneurs are the source of new ideas and innovations, and they convert the ideas into opportunities. They always try to identify business opportunities which are present in the business environment. Now, an entrepreneur may not be expert in all the fields such as production, marketing, finance, human resource. Okay, therefore he takes help from different experts in their respective field. For example, Nirma Washing Powder. The idea was to help the poor women. Why poor women? Because they were not able to afford other brands because of their higher price, and this led to the success of Nirma detergent powder or washing powder. Today, Nirma holds 40% of the Indian market. Next, detailed investigation. Market surveys helps an entrepreneur to have valuable data about trends of total demand and supply of a product, consumer taste and preferences. The estimates of all resources required for production should be based on proper analysis. Means, when the entrepreneurs want to start the business or start the production, before this, the entrepreneur conducts the market survey. From that market survey, he or she gets the data or information regarding the demand of a product, the supply of that product, and consumer taste and preferences. And therefore, all the decisions regarding the production and the distribution of the goods and services should be based on proper analysis of this information. Next is assembling the requirements. An entrepreneur approaches more experts from various fields: technical, financial, marketing, production, and legal, to join him on board, because he may not be expert in all the fields. Therefore, he approaches different experts. The entrepreneur selects the factory location, land, decides about plant and machinery, and contacts suppliers of raw materials. So, through this, he is trying to bring all the resources or assembling all the resources together so that he can start the enterprise or he can start the business. The next function is financing the proposition or financing the project. Here, the entrepreneur decides about the capital structure of the enterprise. By the word capital structure, we mean the ratio between debt and equity. In simple word, we can understand debt and equity as owner's fund and borrowed fund. Ratio between owner's fund and borrowed fund. The entrepreneur estimates long-term and short-term finance requirements, determines the amount of capital to be raised, that means how much money is needed, both in short term as well as in long term, and the sources of raising finance are determined, maybe owner fund or borrowed fund. So all the finance related decisions are taken by the entrepreneur in this under this function. The next broad function is managerial function. Under managerial functions, the first point or the first function is planning. Planning is the basic managerial function of an entrepreneur. It helps to determine the course of action to be followed to achieve the objectives. It is the decision making in advance regarding what to do, when to do, how to do, and who will do a particular task. In other words, we can say that planning bridges the gap. Planning bridges the gap between where we are now and where we want to go. Planning fulfills the gap because it involves the decision making in advance regarding what to do, when to do, how to do, and who will do a particular task. Basically, setting up of an objective, the way to fulfill or meet the objective or do the work, the employees, or about the employees who will do any particular task. The next function is organizing. Organizing refers to bringing together all the resources, physical resources, machineries, buildings, financial resources, human resources. Human resources means employees. The function of organizing is to arrange, guide, coordinate, direct, and control the activities of the factors of production. So basically, organizing means bringing together all the resources which are required to achieve the objectives. The next function is staffing function. It's a very simple point. Staffing means putting people into jobs. Means you have to recruit employees and give them job so that they can work according to your plan and achieve the objective of the business. Let us see. This is achieved by identifying required workforce, followed by recruitment, selection, placement, development, promotion, transfer, performance appraisal, and determination of employees' remuneration. So the first thing that the entrepreneur will do under this function is to estimate how many workers will be required and of which cadre, semi-skilled workers, unskilled workers, or skilled workers. Once you determine about the number of workers and their qualifications or skills, the next thing the entrepreneur will do is advertising the vacancies. That is starting the process of recruitment. Once you get the applications for job vacancies through certain process, you select the desired employee or worker, and then after selection you give them the job through placement, and sometimes they are given training on the job, and sometimes they are given training of the job. That is the development. And promotion, preparing the promotion policy for the employees, preparing the transfer policy, and performance appraisal, that is measuring their performance, and determining the remuneration, that is about the salary structure. The next is directing. Directing is telling people what to do and seeing that they do it to the best of their ability. Directing ensures the effective performance by subordinates towards achievement of the organizational goal. Directing means, in a very simple word, to tell your employees what to do, what you expect from your employees, to communicate them their job, and to see that whether they are doing the job to the best of their ability or not. Through directing, in this way, directing ensures the effective performance by the subordinates towards the achievement of the organizational goals. The next function is coordination. Coordination is called the essence of management, means is the coordination. This function brings together or channelizes all other functions of management. Let us see. It is essential to channelize the activities of various individuals towards the achievement of the common goals. In an organization, many people are working, the number of workers. Someone is working in finance department, someone is working in the production department, someone may be working in the marketing department, someone may be working in the research and development department. But coordination channelizes or establishes link between all these activities so that the common goal, that is the organizational goal, is achieved. The entrepreneur must ensure that the work of different segments, as I mentioned, the different departments, the work of different segments is going according to plan. The next function is controlling, one of the most important function of management. Controlling enables the entrepreneurs to take corrective action if performance is not according to the predetermined standards. The process begins with establishing standards of performance, measuring actual performance, comparing the actual performance with the standard, and finding variations, and finally taking corrective action. Now let me explain little simpler way. First, the entrepreneur will decide about the desired performance or standard performance. That is, suppose I want an employee should produce 10 units of a commodity in one day, hypothetically. This is the standard performance. Now, after 5 o'clock, you will measure their performance, whether they have produced 10 units or not. After measuring their performance, now the entrepreneur will compare the standard performance, which was already set, and the actual performance. After comparing, there may be 3 possible outcome. The standard performance is equal to actual performance, then there is no problem. The standard performance is less than the actual performance, or the actual performance is slightly better or higher than the standard performance, well and good. And the third outcome is that the actual performance is little lower or lower than the standard performance. There is a problem, because your employees are not reaching the standard. They are not able to meet the desired standard, and here you need to intervene. Here the entrepreneur needs to intervene, and he needs to take corrective action. The corrective action may be counseling or further training so that they can improve their performance. Now, the fourth broad category of function is commercial functions. Under this, the first function is production. We already know the meaning of production, I hope so. Let me tell it again. It is concerned with the creation of goods and services. That is, manufacturing or producing goods and services. It is the key or the main function of an enterprise. Very easy to understand. In a small organization, one person may undertake this function. One person may be producing all the goods. But in a large organization, this activity is undertaken by various individuals or different teams or group of individuals. I hope this point is clear to all. The next commercial function is finance. Finance is the lifeblood of business, because without money, you cannot perform any productive activity in an organization. All activities are performed on the basis of available financial resources. need of money arises for setting up a new business. Now, why do we, or why the entrepreneur need finance? Because to start a business. Then to purchase various fixed assets like land, building, machinery, you need finance. To purchase raw materials without which you cannot produce, we need finance. And for day-to-day expenses, the recurring expenditures such as electricity bill, telephone bills, like salaries, these are the recurring expenditure. So for all these activities you need finance. The next function is marketing function. It is primarily concerned with the movement of goods and services from the producer to the ultimate consumer. It is directed towards the satisfaction of consumer wants. The main objective of marketing is to satisfy the needs and wants of the customers, because customers are called king of the market. It is the job of the entrepreneur to strategically place his company in an advantageous position to secure the top position in the market. You can attain top position if your customers are satisfied. So therefore marketing activity is marketing function is very important, because it is concerned, or it is directed towards the satisfaction of consumer wants. The next function is personal function or human resource management. The word personal, P-E-R-S-O-N-N-E-L, personal means employees. This function is concerned with employment, development and compensation for the personnel, the provisions of working conditions and welfare measures to maintain a good workforce in the organization. Means the human resource management function is concerned with the employment, that is recruitment, selection, development, that is training, compensation, that is the determining of salary structure, and the providing good working condition and welfare measures, so that the business or the enterprise has a good or satisfied workforce. Remember one thing, the success of any enterprise to a large extent is dependent on the employees, because it is the employees who work for achieving the organizational goal. Therefore, human resource management function is very important. Based on our today's discussion, you have some homework, some questions are there which you can answer with the help of these two videos. Number one is, who is an entrepreneur? Then, what is entrepreneurship? The third one is, explain the characteristics of entrepreneurs and distinguish between entrepreneurship and entrepreneur, and discuss the different functions of entrepreneurs. All these questions can be answered with the help of these two videos. With this, I conclude our discussion. Thank you.